Namato Ratanatayasa. May I pay homage to Triple Gem, the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha. My respect goes to my teachers, my parents. Hello, good evening once again. This is 10th of April, Friday. This is Ajahn Sujan from Warapunya Meditation Center, Aberdeen. As I promised to come back on 6:30 UK time every day, since I have announced some support needed to the center, and there are people and members that are offering and giving generous donations. So today also a few members turned up to the center to drop off some food and necessary items to the center, and also generous donation of £100 towards the electricity and center's utility bills from Mahesi and family, and members who came to drop some materials, Professor Jaya Singh, Chandima, and also Yom Chem and Yom Owen. So I would like to thank you for your generous donation and coming to drop off food and caring the center. In the meantime, this coming Sunday, day after tomorrow, due to this coronavirus and isolation and social distance, as the government announced. So there won't be any events at the center, but you are most welcome to join with us online through this Facebook at 1 o'clock. And we will be doing a special chanting for those who have departed our beloved ones. So whether it is from coronavirus or whether it was in the past, so you're most welcome to send their names. You can text me and we will do the special chanting and dedicating merits for them on a Sunday afternoon. And again, this Sunday afternoon, this Sunday is Easter holiday and Easter Sunday, and from the forecasts it suggests that going to be a beautiful weather and sunshine. But I must remind you that we have to isolate, and if possible do not go out, just to protect yourself and stay safe, and also keeping others safe too. As we have already known that by now there are almost 9,000 people already died because of this coronavirus in the UK, and it suggests that it may again increase, which is quite frustrating, quite worrying, and quite sad. And this lockdown is also everywhere in Asia, Europe, America. And relatively we can see that in Asia is very low death from the coronavirus, and yet their lockdown is very, very strong compared to us in the UK. I've been following BBC news about the lockdown and how the people following the instructions. It seems that we educated one, or the so-called developed one, living in a developed country, appears less respecting this announcement and not following the social distance. And I presumably think that is the main cause of this fertilities that growing again and again. And 3 weeks lockdown is coming to be end soon, but I hope that the UK government will extend in order to save many lives, which will increase again and again. And this we can do by isolating and keeping ourselves at home. So this Easter Sunday, I know that this is a very special Sunday for many friends who believes in Christianity. But unfortunately, this year, it's not by attending the church, praying to the God will save our lives, but this year, if you stay at home, make your home as a church and pray from a home, will be more saving and keeping yourself safe and well. So it's not going to attend any ceremonies, but rather staying at home will save. In the meantime, I also heard a news about the domestic violence grown up significantly during this lockdown period, and which is very sad to know and sad to hear about. And this time supposed to be a family reunion, or staying together with the family members and doing something valuable, working together. But the news suggests that this domestic violence grown up, and there is a lot of possibilities, and that family will break down, divorce will increase. So which is quite sad to know. And this is obviously, you're living together and you have come to know each other so well and understood so well their behaviors, and with that unable to accept their behaviors, or your partner or your wife or your husband, and as a result of that, intolerance with it causing this suffering, and that leads to the divorce and a social or a domestic violence, which is very sad to know and sad to hear. I believe that if you are listening this, you can reduce it, stop it, and generate this togetherness and harmony in the family, which will help your children and also radiates to the society and to the country and as a whole to the world. So this message, this I wanted to share with you all. Well, and this is a suffering which affected, with this epidemic, affected so many lives and with us as well. And the suffering again will last, we don't know for how long, but it is the way it is. And when we look at the Buddha's teachings, we see that Buddha talked only two things, and that is, the one is the suffering, and the second is the end of the suffering. And when we look at and reflect on the teachings of the Buddha, we also see that if anything arises, that changes. And if anything that changes, and that vanishes. And this vanishing is a suffering. When something arises, it is suffering. When something vanishes, it is suffering. That's why it is very essential to understand that this suffering, and this suffering, not only a suffering of us, but also suffering to the family and then to the rest of the world. Before this epidemic came, we may have working like a rat race. So we are working constantly, continuously, and every day we wake up and goes running after the clock, day and night. And we didn't have a time for ourselves and take a rest. There were plenty of times that you wanted to have a rest, good rest, and plenty of times that you want to be at home, plenty of time you wanted to be with your family. And nature is such. Now nature has given us this opportunity to do nothing, staying with our family and resting properly. Now this is the resting time. You have to do nothing. You have to go nowhere. You cannot go anywhere. You cannot do anything outside. Nature is allowing, or nature is simply telling us to have a good rest. So simply resting at home. Giving your time to yourself. Understanding your physicality, understanding your mentality. In the past, we neglected to look after our own physical body. We neglected to look after our own minds. We didn't have much time to take this body and have a good rest. We didn't eat proper food that is healthy and keep this body in a healthy life. And in the meantime, we didn't have much time to relax our mind, to relax ourselves and stay connected. So this is the time nature has given. Nature is, in a way, forcing us to relax, forcing us to have a good rest. Let's say it is 1 month of a lockdown, and this is the nature's wish, or nature, or the whole nature is forcing us to simply sending a message saying that now you need to rest. You've been working so hard. And yes, obviously with this rest, we have to face the consequences, which may be severe for someone, which may be very difficult for someone. Someone can get by, others cannot. In this situation, those who are capable to help others, we should help. We should give help. We should give our time. We should give our energy and knowledge and information that we can give. So with a good heart of giving, opening our heart with a full of compassion and kindness, with a thought of helping others. So generating this thought of a help, and that needs to be generated. So this time is confined time, is to reflect on that. It's like a malting ourselves to get the good taste of the good wine. So generating this good sense of a generosity, helping hand towards other people once the lockdown ends. And not only that, as the lockdown ends in a couple of weeks' time, or maybe a week later or a month later, we need to be very conscious that, will I be selfish or will I be living a moral life? This needs to be considered too. We have to think of that. Even nowadays, even this time of a lockdown, we always need to think of these virtues, that how can I help one another? And am I practicing properly the old moral ethics that will feel safe of ourselves and then to others? And if you look at the Buddha's teachings, these are the basic preparation techniques or the principles that the Buddha laid down. So that's why when you look at the Buddha's teachings, Buddha said that Buddha taught only two teachings. One is the suffering, and the second is the end of the suffering. And to end the suffering, Buddha first of all taught how to be generous. Learn to be generous. Learn to give hands and helping hands to other people. And practicing morality. When we practice morality, we ourselves feel safe, and also let other people feel safe too. We become trustworthy. We will not steal, or we will not take what is not given. We become mindful. There is no sense of hurting anybody, but there is a kindness and compassion coming out from our hearts. And with that, we are simply creating the world is a better world, better place to live together. And Buddha called not only the world in this world that we are living, but also talking about the higher world, so-called heavens. And these are three things, is the three principles: being generous, practicing a moral ethics, moral values, and then making the world to be the better place to live, are quite similar to every faiths and every religions. No one can deny, and that we have to see this, we have to generate, we have to cultivate at this time of this crisis, in this situation. And only then we will be able to see that when we are living in this confined and isolated period, all essential pleasures are so fragile. All the sensual pleasures that we always admire in the past, now we can see that how vulnerable or how fragile it is, how uncertain it is. We may want to go out and play, we may want to go to the pub for the few pints, we may want to go out and about, to go to movies and entertainments and the parties, in order to entertain our senses, and which we did quite well in the past, and we really enjoyed it, and we entertain with our senses. But now we can see that these we cannot do. It doesn't matter how well you are, doesn't matter you are qualified or you are capable of having these, whether it is wealthy or with money-wise or physical-wise or friend-wise. But these we have to let it be. We cannot do it. So we can see that the sensual pleasure that we always entertain are not permanent, and we cannot. And not having them at this time when we have to stay in one room or one house is so difficult. It's so hard because we've been used to with it. Our habit pattern is so that we always entertain with the essential pleasures. But now when we have to stay in one place, we cannot entertain, or we cannot go out experiencing these pleasing things. We feel so difficult to understand these sensations and these feelings. And that is the fourth stage that the Buddha told us to reflect on, an ability to withdraw ourselves from this sensual pleasure. And when we withdraw ourselves from these essential pleasures, and then renouncing ourselves to have a simple life, to have a sustainable living with the heart of a kindness, with the heart of a great compassion, helping heart with a helping nature. But these qualities we develop in it. So this is the gradual teachings that Buddha told to practice in order to clear the path. So then we will be able to see the real suffering in us and then in the society. So that's why the Buddha said in the discourses that dukkha, or the suffering, should be understood. once we have fully understood the reality of the suffering, the reality of this dukkha, so-called parinyaya in Pali word, Buddha's word, then that very moment we realize that every suffering has its causes. Now, if we are not following in line with the government's advice, and then we go out unaware of this social, or neglect this social distance, and without washing our hands, we touch our faces, then what happens is we will get these virus and we become unwell. The cause is simply we are not following the guidance, and that's how we got this virus and we suffer. Now we can stop this by having a social distance, simply keeping ourselves at home. And as I mentioned yesterday, that keeping ourselves at home is such a beautiful time that we are saving not only ourselves but to the others. I also mentioned that staying at home is we are just caring our physical body not to get sick. And not only that, when we are staying in, because this body needs some movements, we can do movements, but more importantly, keeping our conscience clear. Our mind is clear and pure. This needs to be done. When we are in this state, when we become mindful and working in line with the guidance, then we feel safe. And not only we feel safe, we are also saving thousands of lives. And as you may have heard already, that over almost 100,000 people already lost because of this coronavirus, and the number of deaths will increase gradually, and we are slowing down it by isolating ourselves. And technology and this information is such that it's helping us to keep ourselves alive, keeping ourselves to safe and well. Look at the history in the past. Each time when these epidemics took place, hundreds and thousands of people lost their lives within a few days and within a few weeks. Even at the time of the Buddha, there were so many epidemics. Even 100 years ago, there were Spanish flu. Even a few decades ago, there was different types of a flu and took so many lives. But this time, advancement of this medical science, information, and all the governments are trying to do is to save our lives. So take this opportunity, this Easter holiday or Easter Sunday which is coming. It is not time to go to church and pray, but make your home as a church. Make your home as a religious place where you can practice, where you can connect with your God or with your practice. All important thing is make yourself home, a heaven, not a home into the hell, which I have heard. As I mentioned, that there are domestic violence are increasing within this lock time. So do not make your home as a hell, but transform it into heaven, which you can. And this simply by being kind to one another, that you are living together, practicing these moral values that we have. And with this, simple acts of caring and sharing nature will transform the home into heaven. It doesn't matter how long it's gonna last. If you can transform home into heaven, then everything will be fine. So with this reflection, I wish you all the best and wish you have a good weekend. And once again, I would like to announce that we will have online New Year, Asian New Year ceremony at 1 o'clock on this coming Sunday. And after the ceremony, after the blessing ceremony, we will have this transferring a merit to those who departed ones, our beloved ones, whether they died because of the corona or they died in the past. So we will do the special blessing, a special chanting and transferring a merit towards them. And also thank you for those who already sent their names, and those who haven't, you can text or you can message to me their names, and we will do the special chanting for them on Sunday afternoon. So meantime, stay home, stay safe, stay well, stay healthy, and if possible, be mindful whatever you do. Use the skills of a mindfulness meditation that you have learned, using it, keeping a peace within, keeping a peace in the house, and keeping everyone safe. Make your home into heaven, not into hell. Be happy. Best of luck. In a few minutes time, again, we are going to do the regular evening chanting. Tonight we are again going to do the English version, which Pali and English language. You are most welcome to join, half an hour. And after this half an hour chanting, there will be another half an hour guided meditation. So you may join the chanting as well as meditation session, or whichever you would like to join, spare time and join with us. And at the end, would like to thank you all the donations towards the center, financially, and food, medicine, and other materials that came to drop us. And those who would like to donate to the center and upkeeping the center's expenses, then you can text me, and every generous donations are welcome, and thank you. So you're most welcome to join the next ceremony in a few minutes, chanting and meditation. So wish you all the best. Thank you, and see you tomorrow, if not continuing.